Dad was always very fit and healthy. He was one of these people that would exercise regularly, always pushing me, go to the gym, Anna, keep yourself fit. So he's always into fitness and eating well. And he went into emergency department at Clayton, and he was admitted the next day. He had tests for about a week to see what the problem was, and then we found that he actually had a cyst on his pancreas, and they did some exploratory surgery, and they told the family that he had cancer of the pancreas, and that he had approximately only 4 weeks to live. So it was a real shock. It just put me and my 2 other sisters into shock, because we didn't think that it'd be so fast, and it was actually 4 weeks that from the day the doctor said that he would pass away. We just couldn't believe it, that we only had 4 weeks left.
He'd taken off on the Tuesday afternoon. He said he was going to visit a work colleague, and his fiancée had dropped him off there and was going to pick him up, and she just couldn't get in contact with him, was missing. My parents were in Queensland on holidays. I didn't know, but she was looking for him all night. She was trying to get hold of her bank details to see if he'd taken any money out so she could locate where he was, and she kept doing that all night and trying frantically to find out, because he had attempted previously, and she was really worried. So she finally, it was very early in the morning, she discovered that he'd withdrawn some money. It takes so many hours to register in near where my parents live, so she raced down there and to my parents' home, and she found him there. So I found out later that morning.
On the 63rd wedding anniversary of their marriage, Mum had packed up, it was near Christmas, Mum had packed up their favourite cakes and gifts for the nursing home staff, was proceeding to make her way to the nursing home to spend the 63rd wedding anniversary with Dad, and she pulled up for some petrol. At the same time, there was a collision on the highway outside the petrol station, and a car careered in and crushed her against her own car. Subsequently, she was hospitalised for many months and had major injuries. And then when my father found out, he thought that she wasn't coming back to him anymore. She couldn't see him, she was too ill. And he fell, broke his hip. Time in hospital, time back at the nursing home, except this time he was in palliative care. And he slowly passed away over a period of a month, whilst my mother couldn't see him because she was hospital bound. And 1 week before he passed, my pet cat that I'd taken from my home, she had to be put down, and my recent history has been one of much adversity and tragic circumstances over an extended period of time.
Max was living in an accommodation that was provided to keep him safe, and I had been seeing him every day, and the arrangement was he was coming the next morning. So I said goodbye to him at 6 o'clock, though I had apprehensions all night. Andrew went at 8 o'clock the next morning, as agreed, to collect him. And when the supervisor knocked on his door, there was no answer. She investigated, came back and said to Andrew, he's dead. She hadn't known that Andrew was the father. Whenever I went anywhere, I'm Max's mum. But Andrew just rocked up saying he'd come to collect Max. So that's how we found out. 2 minutes later, I had a phone call from Andrew pulling me out of the shower, and I could tell from his voice, just the anguish in his voice. He couldn't say any words, just sounds. I knew that our worst fear, that it was too late for anything anymore now.
That phone call was the worst phone call of my life. Mary screamed when I told her.
Up until then, there was always hope. There was always a chance that somehow we could just carry Max a little bit further to keep him safe for a little while longer till we found what we couldn't provide, something somewhere that would help him.
A week before my dad passed, I was walking out of the room. He was semi-comatose. He was in a bit of a death coma. And I'd been holding his hand and stroking his forehead and telling him I love him, which, by the way, I couldn't do when I was much younger because he wouldn't let me. He would not listen to it. And so I had an opportunity during his illness to shower him with the love that I felt. And as I left one evening, I was walking out the nursing home door and he yelled out, "I love you, son." And that was really powerful because he'd never told me that in his whole life, and I'd so wanted to hear those words. So death is very final. It's just, I'm glad I had an opportunity to love him for a month before he did finally pass, because I know that a lot of what I said and did, he took on board. Yeah.